Straight all day.
You are now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why your actions are incongruent with your goals. Incongruent simply means things that you are doing are not in alignment with the things that you say you actually want. We're going to talk about why that happens, why this disconnect exists, and of course what you can do about it. But before we do that, let me remind everybody that I send out a text message every morning to everyone who's in my text community. I call it the daily motivation. This message is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. So text me right now so you can be on the list and you can get that message. My number is 305-384-6894. And tomorrow morning when I send the next one out, you shall receive. Now, the other thing is workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you take your next step with me. That's where you get access to my coaching programs. That's where you get access to all 37 courses in the university, and any courses I add in the future, you will get access to. All my exclusive trainings and any ones I add in the future, the physical mailings that I send out every month, the Bulletproof Bulletin and the Black Book. Every member of the university gets all of that I just mentioned, and you have levels you can get in at. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and make it real clear and real easy for you. Again, that link is down below in the description, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Now, getting into the subject, why your actions are incongruent with your goals. This masterclass is directed at anyone who has certain goals that you have stated, written down, told yourself about, and you clearly want to achieve them, but you continually find yourself doing things that are out of alignment with these goals. Does any of you, have I just described anybody? You're finding yourself out of alignment, you're finding your actions rather, out of alignment with your goals. If any of you has found that happening, then that's who I made this episode for. And I'm looking at right now I'm looking at the battery on my Mac. I'm trying to see how we get it to the optimized battery charging, because for a while I was doing that. Now it's not doing it anymore. It's just charging it all the way up. But I will figure that out. Anyway, if you find yourself not doing what you say you want to do, doing things that are out of alignment with your goals, we're going to figure out why this is, what causes this frustration, and of course, how to change it. These are all good questions to ask. So we're going to answer all of those here today. Point number one, the topic once again is why your actions are incongruent with your goals. Number one, you don't believe it, so you're fooling yourself, but you're not fooling anybody else. You don't believe it, meaning the things that you say you want to achieve, you do not actually believe that you can or will achieve. So you're telling yourself stuff that sounds good, but you're not actually doing those things. So this is the person who says, well, hey, I'm going to achieve this, this, and this. But when it comes time to actually do the stuff that is necessary to achieve those things, you're not doing it. You're kind of half-assing it. You're kind of half-weighing it. And then you're looking at yourself, and other people are looking at you like, wait a minute, didn't you say you were going to do this thing, and this thing? And you're not doing them at all. And then you kind of feel sheepish, and you're looking at yourself like, all right, what am I actually doing here? And you say that to yourself consciously, but unconsciously, subconsciously, you don't even believe that you're going to reach the goal anyway. So honestly, you're not fooling anybody. You're not even fooling yourself, honestly. You're not fooling your subconscious mind. Maybe consciously you feel like you're fooling someone, but you're not really. Nobody's really being fooled by this because, again, you know the deal. You don't actually believe that you're going to reach this goal. So you're saying things that sound good, but you're not doing those things that align with the things that you're saying. And anyone listening to this, you have probably either A, been this person yourself, or B, known someone who fits this description. There are certain things that you say that you're going to do. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then when it comes time to actually do them, you're not doing them. And you're wondering why, consciously, but unconsciously, when you really think about it, you know exactly what the reason is. So these things sound great, but you don't truly believe them. This is the person who says, I want to make this much money this year, compared to what I made last year. It sounds great, but since you don't believe it, you're not taking any actions that align with actually doing that. So this is a person who says, I want to do 10 times more in production than I did previously, but you're taking the exact same actions that you took previously, so which means you're probably going to get similar results to what you got in the past. How are you going to get 10 times the results with the exact same level of action? Usually doesn't work like that. This seems like bad mathematics to me. So if you're going to do 10 times more now than you did before, something in your process has to 10x, either 10xing who you're serving, how you're serving them, 10xing what you're doing, 10xing where you're doing it at. It has to be some combination of things that in your process leads to 10 times the results. But if you do the exact same everything, how can you expect 10 times the results? That doesn't even make sense. So if you can't draw a line from where you want to be to what inputs from you, say the output is I want to get 10 times more, but if you can't draw a line to the inputs that add up to 10 times more, then you have a bad formula there. That's bad math. And listen, you can say that you want this all that you wish, but looking at the math, you know that doesn't add up and it doesn't really make any sense. And you're not going to just defy the laws of mathematics. Just because you said something's going to happen doesn't mean that it is going to happen. So if you can't draw that line, that means you don't seriously believe in that goal. So saying something is one thing, doing actions that align with the things that you say is another thing. So again, you can fool yourself by telling yourself certain things you plan on doing, but you're not really fooling yourself, and you're damn sure not fooling anybody else who can look at what you're doing with a discerning eye and say, okay, you said you want to do this much more, but you're not actually putting in this much more effort. You haven't changed your approach. You're not dealing with a different audience. You're not doing anything different than what you did before. How can you expect the results to be so radically different than what you got in the past? It doesn't really add up. And the person doesn't even have to know the details of what you're doing or where you're doing it or anything about what you do to ask that question. It's just a simple logical question that, again, if you ask yourself, you have to be honest with yourself about it as well. Point number 2, today's topic once again is why your actions are incongruent with your goals. Number 2, you don't know how to reach your goals. You simply don't know how to get there. You don't know what to do that's actually going to help you get to the goal that you want to get to. Even though you have the goal, there's a knowledge gap. There's an information gap for you actually getting the outcome. Now, this is a relatively simple challenge, how to reach your goals, but it's also probably the most common challenge of how do I actually get to my outcome. You see, people have certain goals, but even though they have the goal, they don't have an idea of how they're going to get to it. So they have the goal, and then they're kind of not taking any actions that are really aligned with getting to that outcome. So you start to feel frustrated, or you just completely give up on trying to reach the goal, or other people see you and they're saying, well, how are you going to get to that goal? Do you even know how to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z? You don't have an answer for that, but you still claim that this is a goal. So then you're kind of like stuck in this no man's land of, all right, what exactly am I doing here? Now, if you already had the knowledge and the information and the experience and the insight to reach your goals, then you would be smoothly on the path to reaching them, if not already there. Let me tell you those things again: knowledge, information, experience, and insight. If you had all of those things in place to reach your goals, you could project based on your actions right now and the results that you're getting that you're on your way to the goal by a certain point. You could even plot it out, like, all right, I'm here now, then I'm going to be here, 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 here. You can see the progress that is happening. You can actually measure that progress. But if you find yourself off track for the goals that you have stated for yourself, then the problem is often that there are certain things that you simply do not know. There is a knowledge, information, experience, or insight gap that you have, and that's going to be the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. But until you fill the gap, you can't cross. There's no bridge. The bridge can't be crossed because there isn't a bridge. The bridge is you need to get that knowledge or that information or that experience or that insight. The good news is you can get that bridge through other people rather than you trying to figure it all out by trial and error, which would take a lot longer, and it does not, and is not so much of a, nothing in life is completely guaranteed, but you trying to figure it out on your own by trial and error would be the longest way to do it, and there's no guarantee that you'll ever actually figure it out. And by the time you do, there may not be much time left for you to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. So when you find yourself off track, then you got to figure out, what actually am I missing here? You find yourself off track. The problem is that you don't know things, you don't know how to do things, and thusly you need to supplement your knowledge your knowledge with knowledge and insights from somebody else's brain. So someone else probably knows how to do that if you don't know how to do it. Now, if I didn't know how to if I had some issue, some tech issue going on at home, or some issue with some product or service, one of the things that I do, I can Google the challenge and see if anybody else has already solved it. Usually they have. I look up a YouTube video of someone telling me, oh, here's how you actually do that. Here's how you move that piece. Here's how you install that. Here's how you put together that furniture that you bought from IKEA, or this product that you bought off Amazon. If the instructions are not clear, here's actually how you do it. What are you doing when you do that? You're borrowing somebody else's brain. You're borrowing knowledge and insight from someone else. They already figured it out. They'll tell you how to figure it out. Now, you could do this on the free level. Like I said, looking something up on search or YouTubing it, but you can also do this on a paid level. This is joining somebody's coaching program, or hiring a consultant, or hiring a direct coach, or buying a book. These are all processes for getting information, that something that came out of another person's brain. Now it can be inserted into your brain, and then you can apply it, and you can get hopefully similar results to what that person achieved that gave them the credibility to say what they're saying in the first place. So the good news for all of this is that the world that we live in today, this information is relatively easy to access. Usually just requires that you make some form of investment in time, money, attention, energy, or focus. Usually is a combination of all five. And this is why we do things like, as I said, hire coaches, join masterminds, go to events, read books, sign up for courses, because we're just borrowing another person's brain, so that they've already done the thinking, they've already done the figuring out, they've already done the trial and error to figure out how to solve this problem. You have this problem, all right, I've already solved that problem. All you got to do is come over here and I'll show you how I solved it. So if you have bigger goals to achieve, more than what you had achieved in the past, the question is, how much of that I just described have you done in the last year? That I'm referring to is, how many coaches have you hired? How many programs have you signed up for? How many masterminds have you joined? How many events have you attended? How many books have you read? How many courses have you signed up for? If you can't answer those questions, then are you serious about moving yourself forward? You're doing the same things you were doing before. You're not making any investments into yourself. How could you expect life or your actions to pay you back if you haven't made any investments? This simply is not adding up. Again, folks, this is an inaccurate formula. This is bad math. So you got to figure out how to make this make sense. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is why your actions are incongruent with your goals. Number 3, you are operating by inaccurate formulas, as I just explained. So since you have set goals that you do actually believe in, and you are willing to do the things necessary to get to those goals, but your assessment of what is necessary is inaccurate, it can basically make the whole thing collapse. Because you have these goals and you believe in them, and you're willing to do what's necessary to get there, but you think what's necessary is different than what is actually necessary. So then after you do all the things that you think is necessary, you'll notice that you're still short of the goal, and you're like, well, I did everything that was necessary. Why am I short of the goal? What's wrong here? Who's hating on me? Who's blocking me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with my idea? What's wrong with my goals? None of those is the problem. The problem is you just had an inaccurate assessment of what it actually took to get to that outcome. And because you didn't know it was inaccurate, you thought it was accurate, and now you're frustrated because you thought you did everything, but you actually haven't done much. This is what happens when you work with inaccurate formulas. This is when a person thinks that they need to do A, B, and C to get to their outcome, but if they would take the time to talk to someone who has already achieved that outcome and has helped other people achieve it, you would know that what you actually need to do is D, E, and F, not A, B, and C. But until you close your own ignorance gap, and that's just a gap between what you know and what you need to know, until you close your own ignorance gap by investing in insights from people who know more than you will continue operating by inaccurate formulas, and thusly being completely frustrated with the fact that you have yet to achieve your goal despite your efforts and your desires to achieve your goal. So you're working hard to get there, you have the strong desire to get there, but because you're operating off an inaccurate formula, all you're doing is just driving faster into a wall or into a ditch, because you have the wrong formula as to what it actually takes. When you get the right formula, that's when things will start working. And I just described, when I talked about that, a healthy percentage of the population, what I just said, talking about people who put a ton of effort in, even time, money, attention, energy, and focus, but because your formulas are inaccurate, those investments, all they do is speed up how fast you end up in the wrong place. If you want to make more money, or you want to lose weight, or if you wanted to make more money or lose weight last year, but you didn't do it, and you think the reason is that you're not focused enough or not disciplined enough, that's an inaccurate formula. Your lack of focus or lack of discipline are byproducts. They are not the cause of a situation. They are the effects of a situation. The real problem is that you don't have the tools or the insights or knowledge to understand what it takes to achieve an outcome, which is why you didn't do it. All right, this is why you need to invest in yourself, so that you can get tools, insights, knowledge, and understanding from people outside of yourself. All right, this is the reason why the thought leadership space exists, so that people like myself can help other people with the way that you think about things, with the way that you approach things, with the strategies that you use to solve these problems, and the systems that you use to execute your strategies. This is why you leverage other people's brains and other people's information. Why would you do it all yourself when you could just get someone else to do it and you don't have to do the majority of the work? All right, why would you consign yourself to doing a whole lot of extra work that you don't even need to be doing? It's going to cost you your most valuable resource, which is not energy, but time. Let's recap today's class, which is why your actions are incongruent with your goals. This is a person who has certain goals in place, but you're not taking any action to get to them. And when you get questioned on this and you really had to think about it, you beat yourself up. But let's talk about why this actually happens, so maybe you can stop beating yourself up and we can get strategic about what you are doing. Point number one, you don't believe it. So you're fooling yourself, but you're not fooling anyone else. You don't believe it, meaning the goal. You set this goal, you don't really believe that you can reach it, so you're not giving the best effort that you could to actually get into it, because you don't believe you ever will. Number two, you don't know how to reach your goals. So you want to reach it, you do want to, but you simply don't know how to do it. And the challenge with a lot of people when they have this lone wolf mentality is that you're going to do everything on your own and not leverage the brains and insights and ideas of other people, and that is actually going to slow you down a ton. You can get a lot more done using other people in somehow, some way, whether they're brains or they're brawn, than trying to do everything on your own. Even if it was just two of you with the exact same level of intelligence, you get more done because you could borrow another person's hands to do stuff, and their eyes and ears to consume things. So that's why you got to look at time, money, attention, energy, and focus, and put them in order for you. Which one matters the most? And when I need to make a decision around use of that resource, now since I know what matters the most, I know what direction to go with my decisions. And point number three, you are operating by inaccurate formulas. All right, inaccurate formula is a formula that you think, if I do these things, I'm going to get this outcome, but your formula is off, because if you do those things, you do not get that outcome, at least not necessarily. So that's an inaccurate formula. When people think, oh, if I do this, then that means this. No, that's not true. So once you set goals that you believe in, and you're willing to do the things necessary to get to them, all right, you might think that you need to do A, B, and C, but when what you really need to do are D, E, and F. And until you close that ignorance gap with insight from people who know more than you continue operating by inaccurate formulas and continue not getting the results that you want. And by the way, most people operate this way. And then they get frustrated by the fact that they haven't achieved their goal, despite the fact that they worked so hard, because they are assuming that working hard means you deserve to reach a goal. It does not. Hard work is not a strategy itself, and hard work is not necessarily a leading indicator of future success. For the most part, it's not. So if you want to make more money or lose more weight last year, for example, but you didn't do that, and you think the reason is because you're not focused enough or not disciplined enough, all right, that alone is an inaccurate formula. When the real problem is you simply do not have the necessary tools, the insights, or the knowledge to understand what it takes to achieve that outcome, which is why you did not do it. All right, this is why you invest in yourself, so you can get to these outcomes a lot faster, and you don't even have to think as hard, because you can borrow the brain of another person. All that said, text me, get my daily motivation. Tell me the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894, and workonyourgameuniversity.com. So we take the next step into the Work on Your Game world. Get access to 37 courses, 3,000 plus lessons, 2 physical mailings every month. If you want to be coached by me, you have an option. You want to call me and talk about getting coached by me. We'll see where you're at, where you need to be. All of that is at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.